Welcome to the Priority Zero podcast. Stories of service.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Priority Zero podcast. And today with me we have Ian Rawson. Now, Ian Rawson is a veteran of the Australian Air Force and the founder of our much-loved Warfighter coffee. Ian, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, mate. So, this episode's all about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, pretty much joined the Defence Force at the age of 18, straight out of high school. Signed up through recruiting in Parramatta to become Navy. I liked the idea of what was then a quartermaster gunner, or QMG, in the Navy on board patrol boats. Thought about that, and then the Navy guy said, there's a new mustering coming out in the Air Force called Airfield Guard. If you like camping, if you like walking, like standing next to aircraft and protecting them, try that. Well, I did, and I got duped. I don't think I stood near any aircraft. I patrolled up to 15 kilometres outside the airbase and slept nowhere near any rivers or streams. So recruiting got me good.
Fair enough. And what was the inspiration to join the ADF? Did you have any serving family that kind of, led you down that path of inspiration?
I had a godfather, Vietnam vet. He was part of the crews that used to recover downed aircraft and downed helicopters. I think he was an engineer at the time.
Yeah, wow.
He used to tell me some of the stories. I had a grandfather that served in the UK military as a dispatch rider. Yeah, I think family and godfather was sort of there. Already always had a fascination with military. It was either that or police force. Failed the police by 1 point in New South Wales, so military got me.
Fair enough. So tell me about some of your experiences going into the Air Force for the first time.
Yeah, so like I said, I joined straight out of high school. I joined a scheme called the Airfield Guard Ready to Reserve scheme, which was like 1 weekend a month, 2 weekends a year, three, I can't remember, so many months a year. And that was basically a crash course of being an Airfield Defence Guard, going through everything. So going through recruits at RAAF Base Edinburgh, then going to Ambley, doing the Airfield Defence Guard basic course, and then doing 1 year full-time in Katherine at RAAF Northern Territory.
Oh, I'm quite familiar with Katherine. So what does the Airfield Guard, what was their primary role?
So, contrary to what people say, and we get stirred up that we believe we're Air Force Special Forces, we're not. An Airfield Defence Guard is basically there to defend the airfield from ground attack, pretty much. So, it's a 10-man, when I was in, it was a 10-man section. It used to split up into 2 5-man teams, and basically just patrol the airfield, looking for any threats, denying enemy ground. So you'd patrol hills that overlooked airfields, base perimeter security and things like that. Just walk around like a turtle with your weapon and walk through the countryside of Australia.
Nice. And what does the recruit course look like for an Air Force? I know we've had a few Army people on, they've given us kind of a description of what Kapuka's like. What is it like for you guys? Can you explain kind of a day in the life?
Yeah, Air Force is nowhere near like Kapuka. Yeah, again, everything changes. When I went through back in early 93, 94, I want to say, you still had the 3 instructors yelling at you. You still had them ripping your lockers apart, trashing your rooms, basically breaking you down from that civilian to military, teaching you how to look after yourself, how to deal with teamwork, that sort of stuff. But nowhere near as hard as what the Army got it. I think the biggest thing for me was having to take my SLR down to the officer of the night that night to strip it, clean it, put it back together, and go back because I left it unlocked.
Wow.
But there's 4 other people in the room. It was still secure, but it wasn't secure, so I got punished. But they were the things that you talk about and laugh about now, coming back and finding your locker turned upside down because your socks didn't have a smiley face on them. Or you just say character building. But yeah, it was a lot easier than what the Army did. Sure.
Perfect. So can you tell me about some of your experiences and some of the things that you got to do as an airfield guard?
So, yeah, as a, like I said, an airfield defence guard, we learn everything from small arms up to anti-tank weapons, so, Browning pistol all the way up to the Cargill stock. We had sort of old school weapons back then, so we had the Steyr, which was introduced, but we still had the M60s. We didn't have the Minimise at that time, but then they came in shortly after. So I got to do a lot of small arms firing, which was great. A lot of exercises in between. Not many deployments up to that stage because it was still prior to Timor. So it was a good time while I was in until Timor happened. But, you do everything from your forward driving course, quad bike course, driver training courses, live fire exercises, all that sort of stuff that, the Army guys would do, but just through the RAAF. Good experience to do that. Enjoyed it.
Perfect. Did you have any exercises or anything that you did that kind of stood out to you?
Well, my first exercise straight out of the squadron, pretty much after my Ready Reserve scheme, I should say, only 2 people get selected out of the Ready Reserve scheme to actually join PAF. So after I did my year in Tyndall, I was offered an opportunity to become PAF. So,
and that's Permanent Air Force, correct?
That's Permanent Air Force, yeah.
Yep.
So I was lucky enough to get Permanent Air Force and went into the full-time Air Force. First week into the squadron, we had an exercise out at Weeper, or Curtin, I want to think. But I got glandular fever within the first week of being on my first exercise. And you didn't want to go down sick because being the Jube, as you used to say, you didn't want to show any signs of weakness. Patrolled for about 3 or 4 days while I could do it until I was throwing up fluorescent green bile, which wasn't good. So, excuse me, they put me into the field hospital, did tests, and I was medevac back to Richmond with glandular fever.
Jeez, that's definitely one to remember.
So that one stands out the most. Apart from the other exercises, you've got your usual trips to Wide Bay, live fire exercises. You've got your trip to Woomera, which is the desolate wasteland. Yeah, a lot of aircraft flying ops and things like that as well. Base exercises, which are pretty good as well.
Perfect. So how long were you an airfield guard or in the defence all up?
So it's like I say, ADG or Airfield Defence Guard. I was in that for 19 years in the Defence Force. I did 10 years Airfield Defence Guard and then just shy of 10 more years as a Ciscon, Communications Information, so IT, HF, Comms. So two roles.
Yeah, so how do you go from one to another? So obviously you've done your 10 years as an airfield guard, and then did you make that decision to go to Ciscon, or do you get approached?
So I think it came down to, after 10 years of being an AGI, I was losing a little bit of interest in it. You start off as an 18-year-old, you start then getting some physical injuries. You move your way up to section commander, which I did. I went from an AC up to corporal, working as a section commander. Then Timor hit, and then when Timor hit, the unit that I was with at the time, 3AFDS, was a reserve squadron looking after reservists, so university students. They needed more feet on the ground, so the unit was going to become PAF, but they just said that I wouldn't be going to Timor, so I put my discharge papers in to join communications, HF comms, which meant loss of rank back to AC again, and start all over again from the bottom and work your way back up again to corporal in that muster.
Yeah, wow. And how did that make you feel, having to lose rank and then, start all over again? Is that something you just expected to happen?
I knew it would happen. So from being, again, an AGI to Ciscon, I had to spend, I think it was 9 months down at the Army base in Watsonia, in Melbourne. And through that, I kept my rank of corporal while I was on course. But as soon as I graduated, got my first posting, I was knocked back to AC and started all over again. So I had at least 10 years experience in the ADF, but loss of rank back to AC again.
Was it loss of pay as well?
Luckily, I did my research that Ciscon was on the same pay level as ADG at the time, so there wasn't much of a difference in pay.
Oh, that's at least that's
just
a good
fine.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
But I had to do Corporal Promax course twice, which that sucked.
Yeah, right. So tell me a little bit about some of the training that's involved with this Ciscon role.
So Ciscon's was going through some changes where they're introducing IT into defence. So it's heavily programmed towards the new IT structure, so learning Microsoft servers, learning how to set up defence accounts, DRN accounts, exchange email servers, everything like that. So from walking around the bush, carrying a Minimi to putting all that aside and now trying to type 65 words a minute and IT was a complete turnaround. But it was a good course, got me through, got me some skills that have helped me build my business since then. But yeah, the mustering's taken a huge turn now, like everything. Wheels churn in the Defence Force and things change. People come up with great ideas, they reinvent the wheel, and they start all over again.
Yeah, right. And you spent about 9 years in the Ciscon role, is that right?
Yeah, so posted from Watsonia back to Amberley. Did a couple of years in Amberley, then moved with a promotion posting to Darwin, to RAAF base Darwin, where I looked after HF Ops on Comstar Communication Station Darwin, looking after HF out of that area. So that was responsible for maintaining the HF network to the aircraft, the P3s, flying in and out of Darwin, and also doing other HF communications throughout Australia.
Nice. The P3s, are they still around, or did I remember they got taken off flights?
They're gone now. They disbanded, and we've now got the Poseidon.
Yeah, that's the one.
The jet version, yeah.
I know it was ringing a bell somewhere. So throughout all your years in Defence Force, what are some of your other most memorable moments that you can talk about for people that are considering joining Defence? What can they expect?
Again, 93 to 94 when I joined, it's completely different to what now, lifestyle's now like. But I think the three core things that still stick around is that you do make a lot of friends through Defence. Whether or not you stay with those friends after you get out is different because you are posting around a fair bit. You do learn some good trades, and you get to see and do a lot of things that a normal person wouldn't. Like do up and close, personal to a lot of the aircraft, to see foreign nationals coming over with their aircraft. Like I'm absolutely quite jealous now that we're buying Apaches. And,
Yep.
If I was 30 years younger, I'd be signing up to either be Apache gunner or Apache pilot. Those things, it's going to be great. We've got things like drone pilots now. Technology has advanced so much that joining up, there shouldn't be any reason not to, because it's endless in what you can do. And I think it just comes down to the generations that we've got aren't really keen on joining defence because they're all against defence. They call it the woke society or something like that. But I think there should be no reason to join if you want a career that's stable with decent pay to establish your lifestyle with a family as well. There's plenty of careers out there you can go for. I know I would.
Yeah, that's it. And it's something to consider. It's not what everyone thinks in terms of there's a lot of roles that are non-combat type roles that you can join if that's not what you want to do. Like I said, there's a lot coming up within the realm of IT and cybersecurity. I caught up with one of my ex-cadets because I was an instructor with the Air Force cadets up here for about 5 years, and he's a cyber warfare officer or something like that. And it just blew my mind. And I called him up in Canberra end of last year, and I was like, wow, we're at that stage already.
That's what I mean. Like we're still buying technology and we're buying platforms that haven't come out yet, that will come out. Like, we've just got the Black Hawks, the new Mike versions of the Black Hawks, right? So we've still got more of them to come, which are going to require crews and pilots. We've got drone aircraft that are still being built. We've got the new drones being built. They need operators and pilots as well for those. We've got IT, we've got cyber warfare. There's a lot of stuff now that we're going to be sitting behind desks performing the duties. They're still always going to need boots on the ground and as they used to say, trigger pullers, because that's what's needed until we go a complete drone defence force. But it's still going to need somebody to do it because down the track would be great, but if it can be hacked, it can be hacked. So we'll always need boots on the ground. Yeah, if it's not for you, then there's definitely something out there that you could do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's crazy to think about because I still talk to some of the cadet instructors within my old squadron, 801 squadron, and even a lot of the framework that they teach, like we used to be heavily involved in doing a lot of bivouacs, outfield, doing, survival, camping, concealment, things like that. But now, they fly drones. In the Air Force cadets, they learn how to fly drones, and it's just, where it's going is, it's going to be very, very interesting. What do you see the Defence Force is going to look like in 10 or 20 years' time?
I believe in 20 to 25 years' time, it will completely be drone. It'll be robotic. Looking at the companies now that are switching over to a lot of IA infrastructure, it's not hard now. Every time a new thing's built, when drones came out as a commercial toy, a four-winged drone with a camera on it, a lot of us in the Defence Force went, the next step, they're going to weaponize this. They have to. It makes sense to weaponize it. And this is what makes me laugh, is that somebody will come up with an idea that's supposed to be a money-making tool or a way to improve something. But there's always somebody in the background going, how can we weaponize this? How can we make it lethal? How can this have defense capabilities? And I mean, look now, Ukraine's buying drones off the shelf and then fitting mortars to them.
Yeah, how many have we seen DJI drones and things like that with mortar strapped to them? It's crazy.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. DJI will be laughing, going, well, we're not supporting the war, but our airframes are being used and being blown up. They're buying another one. So, I think I just read recently that the Australian Department of Defence is going to rush in the OWL, which is a new operating. It's like an it's a weaponized drone. Flies for about 2 hours, or I think it's 2 hour hang time. 2 kilometre range, 30-minute hang time, and either it comes back or you use it. But it's a weaponized drone. So we're bringing those in. We're bringing in the rocket systems. We're purchasing a lot of technology that we've been saying for years has been needed. But I think now with the ever-present looming movements of China, Taiwan, not saying that they're doing anything, they've realised that we don't have those capabilities in place for defence, so we need them.
There's a lot, mate. We don't have, as far as I know, we don't have any surface-to-air missiles and things like that in Australia to protect. I'm sure in bases we might, but
I think, the new rocket system? Is it the HIMARS that they've purchased? Yeah. We're purchasing those, but that's long-range rocket. We still have, the anti-air we used to have was the Rapier system. I think, and I was around when the Rapier units existed. Now I think it's a man-portable sort of anti-aircraft rocket that we use. Wouldn't have a clue what it is, though.
Yeah, wow.
That's what I mean. Our technology is always changing. We're always purchasing stuff. And I think the biggest gripe that's been with defence members is we always purchase something that we could purchase off the shelf that would work. It's already been tried and tested, but our Australians decide to go with, we can build that better, and it's not better. It doesn't link into other systems, and it doesn't have parts, so that's why you now see the purchasing of Apaches. You see the purchasing of the submarines.
Yeah, and I think that needs to happen.
They all interlink with our Five Eyes, which makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. There's no point in making something, I guess. It's good to have something that we can build and manufacture in Australia, but if it's going to cause such a delay for us to put research and development into that and build it, and by the time we get it, it's going to be out of date. Someone's going to have to come up with something better. That's
right. Interoperability was the biggest thing on the battlefield, and if you watch and look at the magazines like Contact Magazine and some of the defence stages, they're always saying now that we're purchasing stuff that can link into the US network, can link into the Canadian network, because Canada, the UK, New Zealand, already buying platforms that link in when we talk together, apart from us. But now we're doing it, and it's taking time. But it has to be done.
Yeah, 100%. Especially being the allies that we are, we need to be able to link together. We need to be able to work together. What advice would you give to someone looking to join the Defence Force and looking to prepare themselves?
Yeah, I've had a few people, young families and kids ask me, look, you served, what was it like? And I say to them, well, it was different when I served. Now it's a completely different sort of job. But I would say, look, if you're keen on doing or looking to join the Defence Force, do your research. Do something that you're going to enjoy, not just do it because it looks good. Looks can be deceiving. Like I said, my brochure for Airfield Defence Guard had a guy swinging on a rope past a F-111. Looked amazing. I didn't go anywhere near an aircraft. I slept on anthills and things like that. So don't be deceived by the paraphernalia of recruiting. Do your search. Talk to people that are actually in the mustering that have done the job. They'll tell you exactly what it's like. And yeah, find something that you want to do and go for it. It's something that you'll never forget. And whether or not you do deploy or not deploy, doesn't matter. You've done something a lot of people have never done before.
And make friends for life, I think, is a very good one that I've heard for a lot of people from the first responder military type roles. The friendships that you make and the camaraderie that you get in these roles, and a lot of that is forged through the hardships as well.
Yeah, I mean, infantry guys close a close bond. Army infantry guys together for a long time, and I'm not going to hide from it that Army infantry, especially those that are going out on the front line, have signed up to have bullets shot at them. That's what they've signed up to do. They have signed up to go out and be shot at. And that's pretty damn scary when you think about it. You can sit in garrison for as long as you like and go, it'll never happen. Until one day you get the call to say, right, you're going on your first patrol. And I take my hats off to the infantry guys because I've never had bullets shot at me. I've been in operational areas. I haven't had anything like them at all. But my experiences on my deployment and what happened to me are completely to the experiences that those guys have gone through. So you will forge different friendships from different things that you do within the defence as well.
Yeah. So after 19 years, what made you decide that it was time to leave the ADF?
I think it was a bit of forced time. You can only bounce around the Defence Force for so long with so many injuries. I carried injuries from my ADG career through my Ciscon career to my deployment. When my issue happened with my deployment, that brought back the mental injuries that I got as well. So for 7 years, I hid my mental injury because of fear of wanting to losing my job. Because back then, if you mentioned it, holding a security clearance and stuff like that, you'd lose that. If you lost that, then you're basically deemed unfit for mustering or unfit for work. And it was quite easy for the Defence Force at that stage when you were overmanned to discharge you. So that was the reason. After 19 years, my body, I was getting older, was just breaking down. Postings were getting harder. The manning was getting harder. Career progression was getting harder. So it was just thought, well, it's time to pull the pin and get out, as they say.
Perfect. And when you made that decision, how long was that before you actually got out of the Defence Force?
Yeah, so I did my research, had a look into it. So usually once you submit your discharge papers, for me, it was about a 12-month period. So I had 12 months to get my affairs in order, to start working on my body, my injuries, going through all the medical process. But that Yep.
Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do once you got out?
No, because I was going down the medical discharge procedure. I had to wait and see what sort of discharge I was going to get. Cat A, Cat B, or Cat C medical discharge.
Yep.
To see what I could do after it. I already knew, though, that there wasn't much in the way of job prospects for somebody that used to walk around carrying an automatic machine gun. Civilian requirements aren't big on that. So usually it's security guard. Communications and IT, yeah, okay. But the problem with defence at that stage was they taught you all everything you need to know about, Microsoft servers, and they taught you everything about you need to know Exchange servers. But you didn't have the tickets, Microsoft certified courses you had to pay for yourself. So you weren't qualified, but you were qualified. So I had all the training within the Defence Force to look after server room, create networks, all that sort of stuff. But as soon as I got out, I didn't have civilian skills.
So they didn't give you civilian qualifications?
No, they learnt the lesson the hard way doing that prior to doing these courses. A couple of years, I think early 2000s, they would train you. They would pay for the courses. They would pay for the certificates. You'd get the certificates. Great. But a lot of those people that got certificates then discharged. So the defence realised, hey, we're not going to pay for certificates anymore because you're just rorting the system. And then they brought in a ROSO, which was a return of service obligation.
Yep.
And it was a short one. So people would still get their qualifications, get their certificates, Microsoft certified, do their 2 years ROSO, and then discharge. So they weren't retaining the information and the skill sets that they kept.
Yeah, right. That makes it difficult.
Yeah. And then when Timor kicked off, they civilianised pretty much the majority of the IT. So they went to my stage, it was CSIOG, which brought in a whole heap of civilians who basically got to look after all of the network, and military really didn't get a look in for those sort of things. Mixed introduction of civilian and military working together.
Fair enough. So what did you do when you ended up getting out?
So after I was medically discharged, and mind you, my discharge took 2 days. It was discharge date. On a certain day, you then had to rock up to a 2-day discharge session, which was, let's watch a video on you're no longer in the Defence Force, and a bunch of people telling you that you no longer have free medical, free dental, free healthcare, you need to organise these sort of things. And after those 2 days, it was now you've got 4 weeks to get out of your married quarter and look for a home, look for a rental, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty harsh discharge procedure. But when you know no different, what do you do?
Yeah, well, but I can imagine after 19 years and having kind of a send-off like that from defence, how did that make you feel coming out?
Well, I don't bear a grudge because defence isn't there to powder to everybody's tastes and needs, if that makes sense. Yeah, the discharge process was still very ancient. Excuse me, when I did it. It's got a lot better now, a lot more procedures in place. But mine, like I said, was 2 days down. I think at the end of the day, I was pretty disappointed that after 19 odd years, it was just to see you later. My certificate arrived to me in the mail, which, the attainment of service was given to me in the mail. I think one of my deployment medals was mailed to me. You look back and you think, if I was a disgruntled person, yeah, it was pretty crap. But I don't take it to heart. It's just military life. Just deal with it, basically. I think the hardest thing was I had a family, had a wife, 2 boys. I was more worried about trying to find them. How are we going to live? How are we going to do things?
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing we haven't really discussed with many people. The effects that all these postings and deployments have on the family, it must be really hard.
Right, it's a completely different podcast. I could give you a whole hour of my deployments and how they affect family, how they affect kids, how kids are affected by your deployments, what happens when you have children with special needs, like I did. Postings that you move a family to Darwin, thinking it's going to be a 3-year posting, to find out that the job you're doing is now going to be amalgamated from Darwin to Canberra. So you now move from Darwin to Canberra after I think I did 9 months in Darwin. It's supposed to be a 3-year posting.
Wow.
So, you're uprooting your children and your family again to move to Canberra.
Just starting to settle in, get some, solid friends.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
moving again, yeah, wow.
So if you ever want, we do another podcast on that for sure.
Yeah, mate, yeah. I think that's a great idea, so people are aware of what it's actually like. So, Warfighter Coffee. You've been caffeinating me for quite some time now.
Yep.
And a lot of other people around Australia and now the world through US and Canada, I believe.
Correct, yeah. We're now roasting in the States and being able to provide the coffee to those people.
So what gave you the idea to start Warfighter Coffee? Tell me the story and the journey.
Right, so pretty much after being medically discharged, I was found to be basically unable to go back to work due to my injuries and unable to work in the civilian workplace because of my mental health injuries. found myself sitting at home twiddling my thumbs. You contemplate, and I'm not putting this out there as a story for people to feel sorry. I went through the stages of not self-harm, but, the thought of suicide was there because what do you do with yourself after 19 years? You wake up, you have a shave, you have a shower, you put your uniform, you go to work, you come home. After 19 years and 2-day discharge, what do you do? So, my marriage broke down, I was divorced, lost my kids, got one of my children back, met my now wife and partner, Pauline. She's been so supportive that I said to her, I need something to do. And she said, why don't you start your own hobby business? Just something to keep your mind mentally engaged. I said, well, I wouldn't mind doing a coffee business that basically donates the profits and proceeds because I'm medically retired. I'm on a pension. I don't need to earn. But I want to do something that's different, and I want to do something that's going to give back. So, Warfighter Coffee was the idea and launched from there.
Nice. So you started that, I'm guessing, in your house?
Yeah. Well, once you come up with an idea, then you've got to figure out how do you execute that idea. Where do you start? I have no idea about business. I have nothing business orientated. Again, how does a guy walking around from the bush carrying weapons and does IT to starting a business? You've got people out there doing MBAs. So I just started calling roasteries saying, look, this is my idea. I want to roast coffee, I want to sell coffee, and I want to donate the profit. Are you on board? And I think out of every rejected door I approached, I got a bit, I got a bit taken back by it, and I thought to myself, all right, give it one more try. And I hit a gentleman by the name of Gary up in Sunshine Coast, and he liked the idea. It was from him giving me that chance that Warfighter has grown to where it has now in 7 months.
So talk to me when it first started. So you've found the roaster in Sunshine Coast, was it?
Yep.
And then how did you start off? Was it just one batch that you made first and then see how it goes from there? Started a website?
Yeah, so from there I went up to Gary, had a chat with him, spoke to him about what I wanted to achieve and how to do it. And he said, yeah, we can do that. So then we sat down and worked out some coffee profiles. What do I like in a coffee? Do I like fruit tasting coffee? Do I like floral tasting coffee? Or do I just like coffee? I like coffee. I don't want to be tasting rose petals or lavender. I want coffee and I want good coffee. So we sat down with the roaster guys and worked out roasting profiles. So look at what beans, percentage of beans, do we want Robusta or Arabica beans in there and all that sort of stuff. And we came out with a bag. That was the little bag, black bag with Warfighter logo, house blend. And that's been our biggest seller since day one. Then from there, I came up with some other ideas of different names. So, Combat Unicorn. Yeah. So, Combat Unicorn.
Yeah, I did see you got the Combat Unicorn sweatshirts and the hoodie.
Yep. The Pew Pew is selling quite well. That was a design that my wife came up with for a kids range that has now become a staple adults range.
I love it, man. I love it. But yeah, you've got so many different blends, and you don't also support military. You support first responders as well. You got like an SES blend, a police, a fire, and an ambulance.
Yeah,
I think you got a corrections as well.
Yeah, mental health. See, my coffee is a coffee for a cause. It's not for the likes on Facebook. It's not for the look at me or anything like that. It's for a cause. I want people to sit down with a cup of coffee with their mate. If you feel up to it and you're open about it, talk about what defence life was like. Get it off your chest. I'm a big advocate of speaking about your problems. It's about breaking the stigma. And to be honest, this is the biggest thing for Warfighter Coffee is the stigma behind mental health. It's got to be stopped. There's plenty of people out there talking the talk, raising funds that we're going to stop mental health, but we're not going to stop it. It's always going to be there. We can't just turn the switch off to mental health and say we've solved the problem by thousands, millions of dollars in all these programs. First thing comes from sitting down and talking about your problem, accepting you've got a problem or an issue, or something that's causing you to stop progressing in life. But I want you to do it over a cup of coffee. Feel relaxed. You've got something in your hand, which is a distraction. You're drinking, which is a distraction, but you're also then opening up, being vulnerable to your mates, and they can then understand what you're going through.
Yeah, exactly. And coffee culture is quite big in the Defence Force as well.
Huge. And when you're leading on them to the first responders is, I was getting that there, is that mental health doesn't discriminate. It affects everybody. And we all think of our three main first responders, police, fire, and airbase. But SES get called on all the time for body searches, car accidents, natural disasters. These people see a lot and do have to deal with a lot, especially with families that are going through hard times. SES is there. So they get a lot of mental health. And the other guys is corrections. I take my hats off to them. These people are basically babysitters for adults who have committed crimes. But they see a lot of violence. They see a lot of things that happens within prison cells that they have to take home with them as well. And I don't think the public realises that those two also have mental health issues, that they're nurses as well. That's why they come under the medical. But it's, as I said, the coffee is about mental health.
I think you've done a great thing, invoking a lot of conversations through this and giving people an opportunity to do that over a cup of coffee, which is something that makes them feel comfortable. And a lot of people out there can't, admit they have a problem or can't say, I want help. They'll often say, can we catch up for a coffee? And that's a very common thing to say. And that's opening up doors to these conversations and hopefully making it a lot easier for people to be able to talk about things. Because it is important to talk. We can't stop and we can't hide. There's no point in bottling things up. We do really need to talk about these things and normalize it. It is okay not to be okay.
Well, that's a catchphrase, It's okay to be not okay, but that's what I mean. Is for 7 years I hid mine because it wasn't okay to be not okay at that stage.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's, I guess, what's inspired you to go down this path.
Yeah, is that now they've got this in place where there's still a lot of things defence could do, but I just look at it. My coffee is a way of getting people to re-engage, accept that they've got some conditions that need to be dealt with mentally. I've got physical injuries as well. I've got busted spine. I've got both kneecaps are damaged. My toe up to my shoulders. There's something wrong with my body, some part, somewhere from service life, which is depressing. But if you got depressed from that, then you get depressed from anything. So bottle that on top with mental health issues as well as physical issues. I just want people to sit down and have a coffee. And a coffee is a distraction as well. Like I said, the act of making a coffee when you're feeling a little bit depressed can be a distraction on your thoughts. You don't realise that thinking about making coffee, you've forgotten about your mental health or your stressor at that time. So I use it at that sort of form. But I just love coffee, and I love the idea of what we're trying to build with the community as well.
Yeah, because you're doing canned coffee now. You've had that for a while, the cold brew, the nitro cold brew. Is that right?
Yeah. So story there. I've got about 90,000 cans sitting at the moment. They're empty that need filling and selling. But lesson learned. Got a little bit overzealous when I started that idea. But yeah, cold brew in a can, nitrogen infused. It's basically just water and coffee. Shake it, make it look like a Guinness beer, and it's coffee. Don't shake it. It's just a ice long black. Add some ice to it. Add some milk to it. You've got nice coffee. Add some vodka to it. I think you've got an espresso martini. So there's plenty of things. I just love the things you can do with coffee. And I love the fact that the title Australian Warfighter is the Warfighter is someone that's fighting the war on mental health and things like that. So, we've got Warfighter jerky, we've got Warfighter, more products coming out in the next couple of years. Cold brew cans, we're just going through a whole new line of packaging as the camouflage bag that's just come out. That's a real talker, real showpiece at a lot of places, and it starts the conversation as well. People go, what's this bag about?
And you're getting quite a big following. A lot of the RSLs are starting to introduce your coffee into their RSL sub-branches as well, from what I've seen in your social media. So you're starting to make quite a big impact as well, which is really, really good to see.
It's taken 7 years. The simplicity idea is, if you're an RSL club and you have a coffee and you serving coffee to people within your club, why not use a veteran-owned business to do it? Why not use a veteran-owned business that's supporting veterans through the sales of that coffee that then would be donating from those sales to other veteran charity groups, which are then those charity groups are earning from us supporting their people. It's a never-ending circle of giving, pretty much, and taken 7 years for them to come on board. Like, we don't just do coffee. I do everything from machines. I can do a full cafe setup. I can lease machines.
Oh, wow.
I can sell you coffee machines up to $25,000. I can put you on a lease. I am a one-stop shop, caffeination and coffee items, collaboration with Frankie Australia, one of the largest Australian dealers of automatic coffee machines. I've put automatic coffee machines into Gladstone sub-branches in the talks at the moment with the Penrith sub-branch. So, we can refit clubs with our coffee machines and automatic machines and products, and everything that they are purchasing from me gets donated back.
That's incredible. There you go. You did a lot more than I realised.
And that's the thing is
the coffee. I didn't know about the rest of the stuff.
And that's the thing is that I don't know. I suppose people say you need to get out and express yourself more. I just do what I do because I love what I do. But when people realise, so you can give me a machine, yeah, I could lease your machine. I've leased nearly, I think it's six military units that run coffee in their canteens are leasing machines from me so they can run their coffee. I keep my coffee at a low price because it's not about me making volumes of dollars. It's about spreading the word, getting the cause, and hey, if we make some money along the way that I can donate, great. People have told me that your coffee's too cheap, so people are going to look at it and think it's cheap coffee. Well, it's not. I just don't choose to charge you $55 a kilo because why? I can sell it to you for $27 to $30 a kilo wholesale. Why not?
Man, I really got to commend you for everything you've done. It's from your military service, fighter coffee. Your sense of community, your sense of service is really unwavering.
Yeah, no, cheers. I think that was one of the reasons, we were able to take out the King's Trust Award last year, 2023. To be nominated for the King's Trust Award was huge. And we went there with my wife on the premise, at the Governor General's house, on his lawn. I said to my wife, I don't care if I don't win, just the fact that I'm here and to be nominated is great. But to take out, Community Impact Award for 2023 and then to win the Combank Small Business of the Year Award, I was just blown away. And everyone keeps telling me, it's because what do you do? And I'm like, but I just sell coffee. I just sell coffee. That's all I do. That's all I see myself doing is selling coffee.
It's funny because a lot of people find something they love and give it a purpose, where you've kind of gone the other way. You've looked for purpose in something you love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. And I think that's why I just keep reinventing the things we do. Like, I want to give my customers, as I'm now calling it, the coffee community, something different every couple of years. I don't want them to get tired of what we do, and 100% transparency too, to people that I do run a business. This isn't a charity. I could have gone down the charity route. There's too many charities out there that have got their hand out to the government asking for money to provide programs for mental health, but then have to pay CEOs, then have to pay leasing, have to pay rent. And that, millions of dollars they get given is put into a business. But then they say they've got no money and they want more money as a charity, whereas I'm not a charity. If I can donate only $200, that's all I've got is $200 because I'm running a business. I have to pay BAS, I have to pay GST, I have to pay tax. And I don't make my products expensive to make more money. So, for 7 years, I was going backwards. It was pretty bad. And bad business decisions.
I suppose a lot of learning on the way as well.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I knew nothing about business. I take everybody at face value. If you say that you're going to do this, then I believe you. It's only when you get tricked is when you realise. And I've been burnt many a times by many people. But, again, military experience, just dust it off. Just move forward. Haven't got time to worry about what's happened. Just got to worry about what we're doing. And growing the crowd is what I love doing. Like Darwin. Darwin is a huge... People love our stuff in Darwin. But do you think I can find a cafe in Darwin to take it on? Because there is a monopoly of roasters in Darwin that have already secured themselves. It only takes one to change, fuck that system, and then we just say to everybody in the veteran community, this cafe is running Warfighter coffee, supporting veteran businesses. Go support that cafe. It's
I just say that. I've got an idea. I'll talk to you about it after.
Yeah.
Perfect. Finally, mate, I just want to say to you, you've done so much through your time in the military. You've been through so much. What do you do to make sure that you stay resilient and keep on top of your mental health?
For me, I've done a lot of courses. So after my deployment time and come back, I've done a few courses through DVA and through other places to help understand what's going on with your head. Accepting the fact that I do have an issue is a big one. And just living life now every day myself. I'm happy that I'm retired, but I'm also happy that I've now got time to do things more with my life and with my mates. Like, I'll introduce you to a guy called Peter Clark from Due South, Tassie. Do a podcast on him because he's very similar to what we're doing. And I'll talk to you more about him later, but it just gives me now to keep myself happy. I do the things I want to do. I don't stress about the little things and things you can't control. Just worry about the things you can control and enjoy those. And you'll have more fun in life, I reckon. Very,
very wise words, man. Well, Ian, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, mate. And I do suggest everyone jump on all social media, jump on the website, Warfighter Coffee, Australian Warfighter Coffee, and go support a coffee for a cause. Lots of different brews to choose from.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for coming on.
No, mate,
cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks for that. I really do appreciate you having me on board, and it's been great to do this. This is my second podcast in total, so it's great.
Perfect, mate. Thank you very much, buddy. I'm sure we'll speak soon, and I'll definitely take you up on that offer of that second podcast at some point to talk about the impact of, postings, deployments on family. So I think that's a very, very good insight. Thanks, buddy.
Too easy, mate.
Thank you for tuning into the Priority Zero podcast. We greatly appreciate your dedicated listenership. If you are interested in being featured as a guest on our show, we welcome you to reach out to us through our official channels on Facebook or Instagram. Alternatively, you can contact us via email at contact@priorityzero.com.au. We value your support in helping us spread these compelling stories to a wider audience. Kindly consider liking and sharing these episodes, as it plays a crucial role in our mission to reach as many people as possible.